Hey there, welcome to my YouTube channel, thank you. Are you a parent who is slightly concerned at the minute that needs help in speaking to their child or your child about terrorism and about the attacks that are going on? If you are, you're in the right place. My name's Cai Graham, caigraham.com. I'm author of Teen Toolbox, which is my book that's available on Amazon, which is designed to help parents and teenagers or preteens to navigate those choppy waters of adolescence. And I'm just here to sort of give you some reassurance today. Also, there is, just out of interest, there's a free app, so go and have a look at that. But yeah, today is Teen Toolbox Tuesday, and quite a lot's been going on. Do you know what? There's so much going on everywhere, but the reason I'm doing this today, it's a Tuesday the 6th of June, is we've just had a number of attacks that have been going on in our country, in the UK. 3 attacks in as many months, really. There was one in London in Westminster. There was one in Manchester at the Ariana Grande concert last weekend, or the previous weekend, and last weekend we had the Borough Market and London Bridge attacks. And so many people are coming to me going, what the bloody hell do I tell my kids? Because they're scared. Do you know what? It's a universal thing, but me being in the UK, I'm addressing those attacks specifically. But wherever you are, if you need help, then welcome. The first thing is I've got eight points that I want to address today, and they will be. I'll put them on the app. I'll do a printout for you so you can have a look at it. I'll put them on the app. The link will, once I get my act together, will be in the description. And yeah, it'll sort of be something that you can refer to. As I said, the app's free, so just go and have a look at that. And it's got lots of other information that's helpful for you and your teenagers and preteens. So yeah, go and have a look at that. But the first thing that is important when talking to your children is age-appropriate responses and age-appropriate information. The thing is that we do sort of say, oh, well, you know, my child's too young. I don't want to scare them. So we're not talking about it in this house. Well, yeah, bully for you. Well done. Because I tell you what, they're talking about it in the playgrounds. They're talking about it on social media. If your child has any access to that, it's all over the place. So you're going to have to step up here, I'm afraid. And you're going to have to address these issues. And do you know what? Especially for the little ones, and I don't mean sort of 4 and 5, they're sort of slightly in their bubble still, but when they sort of hit 8, 9, 10, you know, that sort of age, they know what's going on. And if they get reassurance from you, that's worth its weight in gold. So rather than put your head in the sand and go, la, 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 it's all fine. No, you know, life is beautiful, life is fantastic, but life also has its dark bits. And we are going to address those today as far as terrorist attacks and violence is concerned. So make sure it's age appropriate and give your responses accordingly. I think, you know, if you're talking to a teenager, you're able to have a slightly better debate. And, you know, you can sort of go into the whys and wherefores and you can start discussing religion and different beliefs and values and all the stuff that sort of comes with this confusion. Just don't confuse religion with stupidity and violence and wickedness. All in the name of religion, sadly, but there we are. I won't get on a soapbox. But the point is that, yeah, just make sure your responses are age appropriate. For the younger ones, you know, they might just sort of want a quick reassurance, and don't give too much information if you don't want to. Stop and pause. And if they change the subject, you've answered their question. If they ask another question, you need to dig a little deeper. So the first one is make sure it's age appropriate. It helps. Second point, be aware. Have awareness about the social media channels that your child is accessing. I know when we were young in the olden days, it was you know, it was a newspaper and the 6 o'clock and the 10 o'clock news, but that's gone. We're getting, I just heard someone say today that she saw live donkeys being fed to tigers on Facebook. I mean, give me a break. So it's there. It doesn't matter if it's bombs, stabbings, or feeding live animals to one another. I mean, it's ridiculous. Let's not go on. But the point is make sure you know what news channels your child is looking at. And I suggest, I mean, it's not going to be the reputable ones. It's going to be the ones sensationalizing all this rubbish. So if they're old enough, point them towards slightly more reputable media sources so that they can get a balanced view. If they're not old enough, then start putting a filter on your laptop, or start putting, I think there are nanny, what do they call them? But there's filters on there, or on your computer, just an age appropriate, so your kids can't access all that rubbish. Because I've got to have a drink, but yeah, so be aware of the sources that your child is using. Please excuse me, you'll see me doing a lot of this. Oh, be grateful for tea. Anticipate, yeah. And especially for the younger ones, anticipate that they're going to hear this news, they're going to hear this story, and head it off at the pass. I use a prime example of the London incidents at the weekend. Is it all started breaking, you know, the first call went in at sort of just after 10 o'clock in the evening. Probably your little ones are in bed by then, and as you sort of see it unfold, you know that they're going to be waking up to this news. So you can preempt it. You can anticipate what they hear and their first feed of it, and it really should be you, in fairness, because you can shape the information the way they need to hear it, rather than, oh my God, London's ground to a halt. I tell you what, I mean, if you listen to what Trump was saying about London and the fact that how badly we were dealing with it, bless him, he has no idea, does he? You know, that the Londoners and I think our country as a whole is fairly stoical and very resilient and will not be blooded and bowed. So I think our children need to be reminded of that and show them the resilience and the power of the human spirit and the hope and the optimism and all that wonderful stuff, as well as alerting them to some of the dangers. You know, you can't put your head in the sand, but basically anticipate, like the London issues, anticipate that they're going to wake up to it, and maybe start with a 7 or 8 year old. Listen, I've got some sad news for you, and it makes me sad to tell you, but this is what happened overnight, and you know, and discuss it a bit, and break it to them gently. Oh, there's my cat going in the background. Break it to them gently, and others, you know, the older kids, the ones that, you know, discuss it round the table. You know, great start to start having meal times together a bit more often, but that's for another day. So yeah, discuss it with them, and but just if you can anticipate that your kids are about to hear this news, you can forewarn them really. Answer the questions they ask. Kids know when they're being hoodwinked. They know when they're sort of, you know, when we're not telling them the truth. They know when there's something amiss. So answer their questions. It makes them feel safer. We all want to feel in control. We all want that security. And we, you know, I understand that we want to wrap them up in cotton wool. Of course we do. And statistically, come on, we're all right. We you know, this doesn't happen. The bad stuff doesn't happen to the majority of us. Thank God. But they need to be aware of it. Don't wrap kids up in cotton wool and just tell them that everything's unicorns and fairy dust. Amongst that unicorns and fairy dust, there are other bits and pieces that they need to keep an eye on. So answer their questions and gauge their level of understanding. Excuse me again. By gauging their level of understanding, you could establish if they've got the facts or not. Because in fairness, what kids do is they sort of look at something and they go, oh my God, how does that relate to my life? Oh, well, someone's going to come out of or come into a restaurant, be it McDonald's or whatever, and stab me. Well, you know, it's possible, but it's not likely. Okay? So they need to gain understanding and perspective, maintain the perspective in all this, because they do need to feel safe, for goodness sake. And, you know, life is wonderful, but it's also a bit scary. But, you know, math tests are scary as well. Come on. So just maintain perspective, but do answer their questions. And again, as I say, just stop and see. And if they sort of decide, oh, that's fine, I'm going to go and watch telly, or I'm going to go off with my mates, you've answered the question. Don't give them too much if you don't want to. Number 5. Assure them of their safety. Assure them, and it goes back to what I've just said, maintain perspective. Statistically, we're all going to be, you know, not okay. That's a very Pollyanna way of looking at it, isn't it? But, you know, life goes on. And for the majority of us, I don't... I'm going to get into the waters here of, oh, well, hang on a minute, I was caught up in that. I get that. And listen, you're talking to someone that I didn't grow up, but I have lived in Northern Ireland for the last 30 years. And I know, you know, sort of what growing up with terrorism is like. My friends have told me, you know, what it was like as a 10-year-old or a 15-year-old not able to go into town at all at night, you know, getting your bag searched at whatever time of day when you went into Marks and Spencer's. I know all about that. And I know that there are many people who are caught up in terrorism and bad acts and violence, not just terrorism, but what I'm trying to say is, come on, I'm here, my hat on today is to reassure you and your children and how best to do that. So statistically, they're going to be all right. You know, I don't know the real facts, but they're more likely to, let's face it, get bullied in the playground than they are going to be hit by, you know, terrorists and these mindless thugs. So just reassure them and assure them of their safety as best you can. You can't protect them 100% of the time, but by taking various courses of action, you can protect them as best you can. Number 6, accuracy. Do not lie. Maybe be economical with the truth if you have to be, but do not lie. Because if they hear from a different source something that turns out to be true that you denied, you've lost their trust. Not just about this issue, about lots of other, well, you know, Mum won't even tell me the truth, so why listen? Do you know what I mean? So don't lie. Just be accurate with your information. And going back to number 1, age appropriate, and make sure that what you're saying is right for your audience. Analyse the situation if you can. As I said, all kids all people, come on, like a degree of normality, a degree of control, a degree of understanding of their situation. Some people love uncertainty and variety more than others. Some people need their safety blanket and you know, their comfort, want to stay within their comfort zone. I get all that. But do analyse the situation and allow your children to understand and maybe help them create some coping mechanisms, be it breathing techniques or not to go into town or to text you every so often, or whatever makes you feel safe and whatever makes them feel safe. But more to the point, from a psychological point of view and a neurological point of view, if you do not process this information, then the next time it sort of happens or the idea comes back or the worry and the fear comes back, it feels bigger. This is a proven fact, science bit coming up. But if you suppress feelings, any negative feelings whatsoever, this is a general aside, if you do not process them and if you go, la, 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 not interested, when that thought comes back, it feels bigger and the brain's going, oh crap, what am I going to do now? Whereas if you process it and think about it and work through those feelings and discuss them and do whatever you need to do, the brain goes, oh, okay, now I got this because I understand it now. No, that's fine. And so the brain adapts. I'm not saying it desensitizes, but what it does is it copes and it understands and it goes, oh, no, I understand what's going on now. I've processed it and I can deal with it. It's the not processing, the not analysing. The brain goes, oh crap, and we're all doomed. And you don't want that. And that's the same as anything. That's the same for anger, sadness, fear, hurt and guilt. Those 5 negative emotions, of which there are many sort of ranges on those scales, from frustration down to pure meltdowns and everything. But that's how our brain processes negative emotions, and they do need to be dealt with. So analyse the situation. If it's a young person, sit down and have a little chat. If it's an older teenager, have a debate and work out, you know, come on, let's talk about this, let's chew the fat, and let's just sort of see what we can get out of it, what we can discuss about it, what we can learn, what we can understand. Yeah, that helps. And finally, number 8, be available. Be there for them. They might just burst into tears when they see another picture of whatever on Facebook, or they might feel very vulnerable, or they might have a school friend that's been affected, or their teacher, or their friend, or their uncle or aunt, or whatever it is. So be available for them and be there to support them in whichever way you can. And the more you analyse this stuff with them, the more they process that information, the better they can deal with it. And that builds resilience, and that builds their coping strategies for, I'm afraid to say, the next time, be it the next terrorist attack, or the next time, I don't know, someone bullies them, or the next time they hear bad news, or whatever it is. They know that they are developing the inner strength to deal with this with your support. How cool's that? Yeah. So, 1, age appropriate. 2, awareness. 3, anticipate where this news is coming from. 4, answer the questions. 5, assure them of their safety. 6, accuracy. Do not lie. Analyse the situation, allow them to process it. And finally, 8, be available for them. So, that was Cai Graham, caigraham.com. on the Teen Toolbox Tuesday. Every day, it was meant to be bullying this week, but I think in light of what parents have been saying to me, you wanted to hear this, you needed to hear this. 8 steps to broach the subject of violence and terrorism to your children. Do subscribe to this channel. There's lots of good stuff. I mean, I haven't been going long, but there's loads of videos there on optimism, fear, change, bullying, you name it, it's there. And I'd love for you to join me next week. So thank you. Share this with your friends and leave a comment if there's something that you want to share with me. Thank you. And on that note, I shall see you next Tuesday. So thank you very much. Bye-bye.